Good morning and welcome to your first e-learning session for Symphonic Band. I know this is quite a different scenario for all of us, and I'm hoping that this system of communicating the assignments and you returning the assignments is easy going for you, but if you have any issues, obviously please let me know. So let's get into it. These past few weeks we've been looking at the interpretive qualities of our musical performance, looking at ways that we can better express all those articulation markings, dynamic markings within the music so that when performed, all of that gets communicated to our audience and or adjudicators. The focus of day one is going to be excerpts of Vesuvius. You'll find an attachment to this assignment below. We're going to look at, study, and then produce recordings of you modeling these articulation challenges within the piece. In Vesuvius, we've got four main themes that come in and out of the picture quite a few times throughout the work. And in this first exercise, we're going to be looking at three of those four. And these are definitely more rhythmic, definitely more energetic, and we need to really zero in on the articulations, the rhythm, and the style that we're playing them. I've isolated 7 different areas of the piece that we're going to be looking at, and in some of the examples there's pretty dramatic changes that occur. Some of them are pretty subtle from phrase to phrase. We'll look at each of them, we'll listen to each of them, and you will model on your instrument your ability to perform each of them as well. So let's take a look at the differences between the A section and the B section of our Vesuvius articulations exercises. We're going to go ahead and play each of these in concert B flat, but before we do that, we're going to just check out some of the differences that make each of these unique. In section A, you're going to notice that there might be a few additional articulation markings that don't appear in the original score. Those articulation markings are the interpretive style that we're going for in each of these sections, and we want to try to replicate that. So in section A, you've got da 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 da, and in section B, you've got da 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 dia da 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 dia. In the original manuscript, you don't have the staccato at the end of the 3-note grouping, and you certainly don't have the staccatos marked all over the 8th note sections. You'll also notice that there's some added dynamics. We've got mezzo forte on the unexited notes to the forte on the 3-note grouping. And that's to kind of stress the difference in that elongated beat. What I'd like to do now is play for you each one of these sections and have you mimic them on your own instrument. You're going to notice that there's repeat signs at the beginning and ending of each of these sections. And we're going to go for 4 times through each of them. This repetition will help to cement these ideas into our playing and become our default choice of style when we see these patterns in our music. Keep in mind when we're playing these, we always want to have our metronomes going. For these 9/8 time signatures, such as Vesuvius, we're probably just going to set our metronome to the 8th note tempo, which I've chosen 272. This will alleviate the need to pre-program your metronome to the groupings of this particular section of the music. Have a very high standard of tone quality and intonation in your recordings as well. I've attached the rubric below so you can get a better understanding of what we're looking for, but especially on these accented patterns, is your pitch changing? Those are issues that we might need to deal with in the future. Try to keep that as consistent as possible. Here is section A. And here is section B. So again, you're really listening for that accent. Is there a little pop at the start of that slur on both the 3-note grouping and the 2-note grouping at the end of B? Are those fairly stable in section A? Moving on to C and D, you're going to notice that they're relatively the same outside of the last 2 eighth notes at the end of D. Now, there's also the difference of the staccato at the end of the 3-note grouping, tie, on beat 2 in C, and the staccato at D as well. And then we've got a crescendo that leads us into the downbeat in section D. Let's listen to C. And then letter D. Section E, F, and G come from the later part of Vesuvius, and this is its 4th theme. And obviously very aggressive. We got marcatos for the first time here, and then a lot of note shaping that happens over the course of the long notes. So in this section in particular, be sure that your intonation is not changing because the weight of the tongue is much heavier. Also, you're going to notice again that slur 2 comes back at the end of some of these measures, and we're adding that staccato at the end to give us that lift, and that tail at the end of the long note to give us that decay so we can reset on the opening of the theme. This is section E. And this is section F. And finally, we have section G, which is continuation or development of that 4th theme. The issues in this particular section are the heavy marcato articulations. Also, the timing of the long note. Make sure that you're subdividing through all 4 beats of that connected note. So now for your assignment, you're going to do this on your own. If you need to reference these recordings at any point, please do so. But we're really looking for those unique differences of each of these sections. Please take your time, and at the end, just upload your video recording. And if you wouldn't mind, just announce section A, B, C as you move down through the sheet so I know where you're at in your recording. If you're having any issues uploading your video to Classroom, make sure that you're signed in your Gmail account through the school. That access to Classroom uploads can only be done through school accounts. If you're confused with that, just shoot me your file through email and just date it to the appropriate date, and we should be good. As always, let me know if you have any questions through email, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Good luck.